Hello, gorgeous soul. Kel Gunter here with your Soul Service Astrology update for the week starting the 1st of November 2021. If we haven't met, hello, I'm Kel. I'm a 13 sign sidereal astrologer, which I'll explain in a little bit, and also the creator of Soul Service Astrology. Soul Service Astrology is a tool and technique that you can integrate into your life or integrate into your business to help your clients, to enable us and or them to come back into a really deep understanding and connection of perhaps the things, our challenges this lifetime. Perhaps the things we perceive as weaknesses aren't necessarily weaknesses. And then, of course, really leaning in and expanding into our gifts and our strengths. Why would we want to do that? So that we can embrace life to its fullest, so that we can come back into this beautiful ecological connection with the natural cycles, and that we can fully express our desires this lifetime for the life that we desire to live. And if you're in business, it may be that you can then start to step into the career and the business of your dreams and function the way that you want to function instead of the way society has dictated that we function. So understanding your celestial blueprint really helps you function more the way that you want to function. But then Soul Service Astrology, I have a course which will be launching next month that you can enroll in to become a 13 sign sidereal astrologer and share this wisdom with your clients. So that's Soul Service Astrology. What's 13 sign sidereal astrology if you've never heard of it? Essentially, it is where astrology and astronomy have come back together. 13 sign sidereal astrology refers to where the planets can be observed in the night sky. And that's how astrology first started, in particularly Western astrology in the area of Babylon back about 5,000 years ago. The astronomers were looking to the sky, observing the moving stars, the planets, in reference to the fixed stars, the constellations behind them. And they were observing what was happening in their environment. They were observing what was happening in the sky. And they were making predictions and references to them for the culture and society which was established around them. There was rituals, there was planting, there was harvesting. All those sorts of things were tied to what was happening in the sky and what was happening around them. So this wonderful cosmological union. And that's what 13 sign sidereal astrology is. It's referring to what you can see in nature, in the sky, and divining meaning from it. So without further ado, let's talk about what's happening this week in the 13 sign sidereal astrology skies. Well, the skies. I'll share my screen with you. Excuse me while I have to move things around so that we can see things properly. All right, so here is the 1st of November. Welcome to November, second last month of the year. And what do we have on the 1st of November? We have the main aspect is Jupiter is trine Mercury. So Jupiter, if you've been playing along for the last couple of weeks, Jupiter has been trining quite a few things down here in Virgo. And this is really wonderful aspect to have happen 2 weeks after the end of the Mercury retrograde. Also Saturn and Jupiter have finished their retrograde. So what I really hope over the last few months that you've done is you've really had a bit of an examination of your skills, your strengths, your mastery, your dreams, your goals, where you want to go to next. It's kind of not the 1st of January where we set our resolutions and our goals for the following year. I seem to always be setting my goals and what I would like to accomplish in the following 12 months around what the Northern Hemisphere would call Halloween or Samhain. I would refer to it as Beltane in the Southern Hemisphere. So it actually fits quite nicely with the seasons because that's what I just referred to. Here we're mid-spring or just late spring, almost heading into summer. So we're we're birthing new ideas, we're birthing new intentions, we're starting to get the resources that we need together to set that intention and to start to bring it into our physical reality. And really that's what this aspect wants you to do. Having done that work, it's now starting to ask you to start to lay down some actions, start to use the skills, start to use your mind, and start to do some things towards those goals and ideals and ideas, because that's Jupiter, towards your bigger dreams, towards those bigger goals. Step into your sovereign leadership to enable them to come into your reality. Now, this is very earth, because Virgo is an earth sign, Capricorn is an earth sign. Capricorn also rules time. This is not flash in the pants, quick ideas, quick money, quick bucks, quick dreams. No. It's not that. This is considered, consolidated ideals and dreams backed up by big faith in yourself, right? So really feel into that this week and start to get the ball moving, start to take some steps. Maybe it's just writing, maybe it's just speaking about it. Maybe it is starting to implement some new methods and systems within your business and or career. All right, so that's Monday. Let's take a look at Tuesday. The following day, after I've just said all that, we have a Pluto square Mercury. Now, this is the last one. This Pluto square Mercury has actually been going on for the last, I would say 6 weeks, and there's a reason for that. Pluto, in the first instance, Pluto was retrograding for a number of months, and Mercury moved across here a month and a half ago before it went retrograde, and we had the first Mercury square. Then Mercury went retrograde and it moved past it again. And now Mercury and Pluto are both not retrograde, so we're coming out of it. When we talk about transits like this, now this is not a personal transit, but this is more of a collective transit. The first instance, we realize it comes into our consciousness and it might feel really awful, like we might be hit with the SADS, the depression, we might be hit for 6 in relation to something not going right, we might really have some limiting beliefs or some mind stories going on because it's Mercury, it's mind, and because it's Pluto, it is in relation to our subconscious programming. So what's going on in our mind in relation to our subconscious programming? What are beneficial beliefs? What are not beneficial beliefs, right? So 6 to 7 weeks ago, you might have been feeling like, ugh, I'm not worthy, I'm not good enough, my service is not required. All these limiting beliefs that are going to stop us from stepping into really big faith in ourselves. And that's the ego trying to keep us safe. So then the second time this transit came around, perhaps then you felt, oh, actually, okay, I think I'm learning some of these lessons, and you're implementing some ways to shift these beliefs about ourselves. Perhaps it is starting to take some steps in relation to how you want your service to look. Perhaps during the Mercury retrograde, you looked at things like, what content am I consuming? What food am I consuming? Am I looking after myself to then be able to go and pursue my dreams, or to go and travel, or to go and do the things that I want to do in my life, right? And now we're at the other end of Mercury retrograde. It's really just looking back and checking in. Perhaps there's a few remnants of those limiting beliefs popping up at the beginning of this week. And it might, after we step into this really expansive feeling with Jupiter towards Mercury, you might get it's kind of like a lasting impression of that limiting belief that you have shifted. And it might not feel as epic as it did the first time, but you'll go, oh, and the benefit of the transit is that you will recognize it. You'll go, I know how to manage that. So check in with yourself, check in with your mind, check in with your heart, and just check in with some beliefs about yourself. Now, these are generally beliefs about yourself and your abilities to step into your service, perhaps your abilities to communicate and speak, perhaps your abilities to step and expand into your dreams this lifetime. Okay, so they're not little, but think back over the last 7 weeks if you've had something and just check in. Have you shifted it, or is there a little bit more work to do? This week is a great week to do it. All right, so checking in on the 3rd of November, which is Wednesday, and we have Venus moving into Sagittarius. Yes. Right. Venus is the goddess of love and war. Yes. She was a she, very much a goddess in the pantheon in Babylon and in particular Egypt as well. They watched the movement of Venus and it helped devise the great myth, the descent of Inanna. Now, to descend into the underworld, you have to have a certain sense of resilience. Now, Venus, as in Anna, was asked to remove 7 layers to go into the underworld. Now, that's a reference to removing all layers of ego and standing there naked, dead. I have nothing left to give, but I'm here anyway, right? So that's, and then in Anna as Venus, Venus as in Anna, then came out of the underworld and came back to the world and brought life, rebirth, and growth with her. So that's Venus as the regenerator. So we regenerate ourselves constantly. And Venus then, as she has regenerated and come back out onto the planet, is then wanting to connect with her beloveds. That's the reason why she went back, that connection with the beloveds. So this idea of love. So Venus as the regenerator and the connector, and you can see that disparity through the goddess of love and war. So the idea is it's war within ourselves. It's war to shed the layers of ego, to come out rejuvenated and renewed, and to share then love and growth and rebirth. In the sign of Sagittarius, that has an archetypal energy of the liberator. It really wants to liberate us and expand into new areas, expand into our curiosity, so that we can have bigger faith in ourselves, so that we can embrace the philosophies that make us feel deeply interconnected to this regenerative cycle, deeply interconnected to the people that we want in our world. So everything that I've just described here is a theme, an underlying theme for ourselves, because Venus is really about ourselves in the world, because it's a personal planet. It's a theme, some underlying themes that will start to play over the next 4 to 5 weeks, because that's how long Venus will hang out in Sagittarius for. She moved very rapidly through Scorpio and Ophiuchus. Perhaps when she moved through Scorpio, you did have to go into the underworld and shed some layers, like I was just saying with the Pluto square Mercury. Then you stepped out into Ophiuchus, where you're sort of like feeling a little bit nebulous and not sure which way to go. Maybe you're feeling a little bit vulnerable because you've let some aspects of your ego go. And your mind is sort of sitting there going, oh, I don't really know what to do because my subconscious really isn't telling me. This is uncharted territory. But now that you've got comfortable with that, now it's time to explore, to embrace connection, to embrace curiosity and wonderment. So I find that really exciting, and it's a great time of year, isn't it, as we head towards holiday season, where we might be spending some more time at parties and connecting with our family, particularly in Australia on the eastern seaboard, the 2 southern states of Victoria and New South Wales. We are definitely going out and connecting and partying because we have been locked down for 4 months. So I'm feeling that, and there's a sense of excitement and fun that can come with that as well. And play, I've written play. So hold on to that for the next couple of weeks as Venus transits through Sagittarius. But on the 4th of November, energy shifts slightly. We still have 4 celestial bodies down here in Virgo, and this is going to change over the coming month. But before the sun moves out and into Libra, it's forming an opposition with Uranus over here on Thursday. Uranus, as you may have heard me say previously, is the visionary warrior. Must have a why. The warrior really needs to have a why. It is driving for change. If it doesn't have a why, then it's just war for no reason. It's change for no reason. And when Uranus is retrograde, it is a perfect time to reflect on your why, to make sure that the vision and the inspiration and the changes that you want to bring and make and focus in on and take action on really are what you're here, you feel the call to do, right? Now, when it's in opposition to our sun, there needs to be a balance. This is very earthy and this is very fiery. So you may feel called to be hanging out more. I want the changes. I want to focus. I want to take action. I want to do all the things. Down here with the sun in Virgo is we want to make sure that, one, we're serving ourselves and that we are shining. The way that we are shining is the way that our soul is calling us to shine. It's not just change for the sake of change, or maybe I'll make a political reference, smoke screen and mirrors in relation to climate change policies and actions. We don't want that. And perhaps from a collective going into the COP meeting at COP26 that's going to be happening, I think, this week, maybe there is a lot of smoke and mirrors and no one's really taking the action that the earth is really calling us to take. So we do need those soul shining earth warriors down here in Virgo, very grounded, connected to what they can see on the ground, the science and the spirituality, and then making sure that our why is connected with that, and then taking and focusing our action towards there. So perhaps there's some things that you need to balance out, but I think maybe that's a bit more of a collective aspect that I've just described there. It's very interesting that came through to me just then, because I'm pretty sure the COP26 meeting takes place this week that I'm discussing. All right, as we then head into the 5th of November, the sun shifts into Libra, and it does so with the moon. The moon is in Libra as well. So when we have a sun and a moon conjunction, it's a new moon. So 5th of November, we have a new moon. And what's interesting is this new moon is happening at 0 degrees Libra as well, which is important because it's a shift. And I think it's actually a really great shift. We've had a lot of energy in Virgo, and as you can see, by the end of the week we've had 4 planetary bodies in Virgo, including the moon, and now we step out of Virgo and we start to have a bit of a breath of fresh air. Some air energy comes in, still fueled with this opposition over here from change, and really making sure that we're focusing in what needs to change and calling out the smoke screen and mirrors, right? Now we need to do that within our inner realm as well, and we need to set intentions. So the new moon is a great time to set intentions in the sign of Libra. It's very, very, I don't think I'm going to be able to pronounce this right, but it's very Venus-like. So you're really wanting to come into a deeper connection with others. You're wanting to listen more than speak. You're wanting to listen as an act of kindness and bring ourselves and the people into this kind of harmony. So what a wonderful time and space to have a new moon where we have this idea of harmony and listening to the people. Can that fuel our reasons for change? Can that fuel our ability to change, that we can listen to each other with a sense of open-mindedness and connectedness and kindness? Now, on a personal level, you might decide that there's a few things that you want to set intentions around how you are going to go out and connect with others. Perhaps it's an intention to be more consciously connecting with your nearest and dearest. Perhaps it's an intention that you will connect more in person now that we can with business associates, colleagues, or family and or friends. Whatever that intention is, allow your feeling state at how you want to connect with people and be connected in this world. Fill that intention up because you get a say, right? And the more of us that are stepping into this really heartfelt, kind, intended way of connecting with others, the more likelihood we're going to see better communities and better society, right? So that's the new moon on Friday the 5th. And I mentioned at the beginning of that section that it's coming in at 0 degrees. So it's kind of like there's a shift from a collective perspective around when a big conference is taking place that is a very much a shared mission that we're going to have and a shared change, us all taking personal responsibility for how we connect one with ourselves and connect with others and coming into a much more kind feeling state, one with ourselves. We need to be kind to ourselves. Remember that first, not just kind and compassionate with others, kind and compassionate with ourselves. And shining that outwards, like I can just imagine what the world would be like. So how wonderful that this new moon is happening when we have such a massive potential for hope this week that we could, blow down those smoke screens and the mirrors and the fakeness in relation to, the changes that we need to make, and that we could really get the changes that we feel into and desire this week. I've got no more words around that. Now, interestingly enough, I mentioned mission just then, and we're rounding out the week on Saturday with this final aspect with the North Node. Normally, I don't talk too much about the North Node because it's not an actual celestial body, it's a celestial point. In lots of other types of astrology, it has significant meaning. I link it to our drive for mission, but from a collective perspective, the North Node represents a place where we go where we may be feeling uncomfortable. We're being called into a place that we're not so certain with. We're being called into a place where we don't really know what the outcomes are going to be. Now, when it's in Taurus, we're being called into a very earthy place where we don't really know what the outcomes are going to be. We kind of have an idea in relation to the climate crisis, but we need to get in alignment with some different values. We're kind of being steered down this very in the Western world, consumeristic, capitalist, materialistic pathway. This North Node opposite our moon in Libra is asking, maybe we need to come back into a little bit more harmony and balance with our environment and ourselves. Maybe we need to come back into connection with our ecological selves. We need to see ourselves as part of the environment. Now, I know I talk a lot about the personal self here in relation to how that can affect change in the greater whole. We are facing some very insurmountable issues, and by no means is it lost on me that lots of them need to have political parties and governments and massive organisations really driving the change now. However, and I might reference a kid movie, that there's more of us than there is of them. So the more that we vocalise and share that we feel that there is injustice occurring and that changes need to be made and we need to be looking towards the environment, then people power can affect those changes. it just might feel a little bit uncomfortable at the moment, which I'm gathering everyone's probably feeling, to be fair. So it's a fairly big week this week with lots of astrological energy really calling us to change, stepping into more aligned values, setting new intentions to connect with people and be more kind and harmonious. So that's it for this week. If you would like to join me on a more regular basis, interact with me, I have a free Facebook group called Sidereal Stars with Kel. The link is on my website to request to join that group. If you are interested in working with me, there are links to work with me in there as well. And that's it for this week. And I hope to see you somewhere on the interwebs. And do let me know how you're feeling and what's going on for you in the comments below. I'd love to hear. Thanks very much. Bye.